When I think of Lord of the Rings and the world of hobbits, I can't help but feel a certain level of nostalgia, a longing to escape the hustle and bustle of modern life and dive into a simpler, quieter world. But what is it about the hobbits that makes them so appealing? What is the secret to their way of life? In this blog post, I'll be exploring the Hobbit way of life, Tolkien's views on hobbits and how to live like a hobbit in our modern world. The Hobbit way of life is often thought of as being one of simplicity and minimalism. They lead tranquil lives, focusing on the little things and cherishing the small joys of everyday life. They live in quaint little houses, and their days are filled with peaceful activities like gardening, fishing, and simply enjoying nature. They also enjoy socializing and having a good time with their friends and family. In general, the Hobbit way of life is based around the idea of living in harmony with nature and enjoying the simple pleasures of life. J.R.R. Tolkien introduced the world to the hobbits close to 85 years ago. Tolkien was a deep thinker who had a lot to say about hobbits and their way of life. In his writings, he described the hobbits as being simple and unspoiled and in tune with the natural world. He also praised their courage and resilience and described them as humble and gentle. Tolkien's views on hobbits were that they were a peaceful, contented people who were in touch with nature and had a deep appreciation for the simple things in life. They were also very brave and had a strong sense of community. This is why the hobbits were so appealing to Tolkien. They represented a simpler, more tranquil way of living that he felt had been lost in the modern world. One of the many themes of Tolkien's writings was the idea of disconnecting from society and embracing a simpler way of life. He believed that modern society was too focused on materialism and status, which was damaging to the environment and to people's overall well-being. The hobbits represented a simpler, more sustainable way of living that was in harmony with nature. This is why Tolkien sought to portray them in a positive light, and why the idea of living like a hobbit has become so popular. The idea of disconnecting from certain aspects of society and embracing a simpler way of life can be beneficial in many ways. It can help us to gain a deeper appreciation for the natural world and to reduce our reliance on material goods. It can also help us to become more mindful and present in our day-to-day lives, as well as to cultivate a deeper connection with ourselves and those around us. The hobbits were not without their flaws, however. They were often portrayed as being overly sceptical and resistant to change. This can be seen in the character of Bilbo Baggins, who was hesitant to embark on his journey and often doubted the advice of his companions. While it may not seem like a positive trait, there are actually some benefits to being skeptical. The first benefit is that it can help us to make more informed decisions. By questioning everything and looking at all sides of an issue, we can gain a better understanding of the situation and make a more informed choice. Skepticism can also help us to avoid getting caught up in trends and fads that may not be beneficial in the long run. By taking a more critical view of the world, we can become more discerning and thoughtful in our decision. The Hobbit way of thinking is all about taking a more mindful approach to life. It encourages us to slow down and appreciate the small moments, rather than rushing through life and focusing on the big picture. The Hobbit way of thinking also involves being more aware of our thoughts and feelings, and taking the time to pause and reflect on our experiences. This can help us to gain clarity and perspective, as well as to cultivate a deeper connection with ourselves and those around us. The converse is also true. The Hobbit way of thinking also involves being hesitant to embrace new experiences and change. This is something that Bilbo Baggins struggled with, but eventually overcame. His journey taught him to be open to new ideas and to embrace the unknown. This is something that we can all learn from, as it can help us to be more flexible and open-minded in our daily lives. So, how can we live like a hobbit in our modern world? Here are some tips. Slow down and appreciate the small moments. Take the time to pause and reflect on your experiences. Embrace change and be open to new ideas, despite fears. Focus on the little things and cherish the simple joys of life. Spend time in nature and connect with the natural world. Practice mindfulness and be present in your day-to-day life. Prioritize your well-being over material possessions. Spend time with friends and family and appreciate the little things. While the Hobbit way of life has certainly become more popular in recent years, it has also been subject to some criticism. Some people argue that it is outdated and that it is not suitable for the modern world. However, this is not necessarily true. While the modern world is certainly very different from the world of hobbits, the basic principles of the Hobbit way of life are still relevant today. The key is to find a balance between embracing the modern world and staying true to the Hobbit way of life. We can do this by being mindful of our consumption and reducing our reliance on material goods. We can also take the time to slow down and appreciate the small moments, and to connect with nature as much as possible. By doing this, we can live a more balanced life that is in harmony with both the modern world and the Hobbit way of life. The Hobbit way of life has had a significant impact on society in recent years, particularly in terms of sustainability and mindfulness. The idea of focusing on the little things and cherishing the small joys of life has become increasingly popular, and more people are embracing the idea of living in harmony with nature. The Hobbit way of life has also become a symbol of resilience and courage, and is often looked to for inspiration in times of difficulty. Living the Hobbit way in our modern world can be challenging, but it is definitely possible. By taking the time to slow down and appreciate the small moments, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the natural world and become more mindful and present in our day-to-day lives. We can also reduce our reliance on material goods and prioritize our well-being over material possessions. By embracing the Hobbit way of life, we can live a more balanced life that is in harmony with the modern world.